Happy Ngidi is the Chief Officer Marketing and Communications at Proudly South Africa, and we're going to look at youth development in terms of purchase decisions. And I think, Happy, the first question to you is, you make the point within families it's often the children who are driving purchase decisions. How extensive is that?
It's a big part of the work that we do, and as a parent, I can relate to that. Half the time when I go to the shops, I come back home with stuff that I never planned to buy, because they influence my purchasing decision, and I'm sure every other parent out there goes through the same thing. But we're just still of the view that we can afford to ignore the voice of the youth. I mean, if hashtag fees must fall is anything to go by, would be silly not to to embrace the voice of the youth and incorporate them into the messaging, the narrative of what Proudly South African stands for.
How then do you convince them to change their thinking and actually buy local?
It is a mindset issue, really, and our children or the youth, they mirror everything that adults do. So it starts with us as parents and adults that we must make the informed purchasing decisions, that we understand that when we buy local products and support local services, we do contribute to the economy of the country positively, but we also sustain the jobs that we have. But importantly, we also create more jobs because we create a need, where then the products have got to be manufactured again and over again to create the need that.
So I'm wondering now whether young people really care about building the economy and developing jobs.
Absolutely, they don't really care about the economy, but we find ways to communicate that into and educate them about how significant that is, because the economy of the country is in their hands. Tomorrow, so they really care about the brand, but we make it look cool to them, because it is cool to be proudly South African, and South African products and services are pretty cool, but not only that, they're affordable and they're accessible.
So it's an interesting point that you raise. How then do you make South African products look cool? In other words, speak the language that market is engaging with.
So we speak in the language that they understand. So, it won't be, we use different platforms to communicate the same message, but differently. So we use their language, we use people that we work with people that they adore, people, who have, we use different things that they relate to, like music, well-known designers. So we find ways, we have got to find ways that they will find interesting, and ways that will make our message come across to them and make sense to them.
So it's all very well then to get young South Africans to buy into this concept, but the other side of the equation is brands themselves. Are they buying into that concept?
The brands are also coming to the party. There's great South African brands with incredible South African stories, big brands that we know of, that are coming, that are starting to appreciate the narrative of the campaign, and that are starting to understand that it is important to also be seen to be proudly South African brands, because they are. Not only are they seen as proudly South African brands, but they are actually proudly South African brands. They've got an incredible story to tell about how many jobs they're creating, about how cool their brands are, about how affordable their brands are, and how accessible their brands are, and about how great and good quality brands they have and they manufacture locally.
So in conclusion then, how do you convince marketers, how do you educate marketers to come on board?
Marketers need to understand that they've got to create brands and services that South Africans need. And the one brand that comes to mind that has done an incredible job in that space is Coca-Cola, who have listened to what consumers want, to what South Africans need. And they've worked around that. It's really about that. It's about knowing what your audiences are saying to you and finding ways and means to ensure that your brand communicates to the people, to be able to make sure that you sell your brand, and make it an easy process and make the brand as attractive as you possibly can. And also to say to consumers and to people and your audience out there that South African brands are just as good as international brands, because it's a mindset issue. It really is.
Happy Ngidi from Proudly South African, thank you.
Thank you so much, Jeremy.